So Mayhem is kind of sweet. Check out this clip that I got. This is like a perfect example of what this perk does. What she does, when you throw down a shock tower, it draws this line between you and your shock tower, and it zaps enemies 4 times a second. This is her in the commander slot. Yes, I fluxed her. Look at what it does to this 140 Mist monster. Dead. It took like 2 seconds. Not to mention the shock tower is zapping everything in range. Now, this is the continuation of the Madcap video. If you guys already saw that on the channel, then welcome. If you haven't, maybe go watch that. Both of the heroes are very good, and I decided to showcase them in their own builds because of how unique they are. And they are both, let me just temper expectations, they are both very good for the 140s and below. In the 164 player missions, these are maybe C tier heroes. They're not exactly excellent. However, that's okay. If you're running through ventures and you just want a build that's going to work, I mean, look at this damage. Look at this damage. That's basically just shock tower being awesome. And I did not position myself very well in this game, you can see. But look at the health on this Mist monster. Look at it go down. That's like half of its health just by being zapped for a couple of seconds. It's really amazing what you can do with this perk. And it's interesting because you could throw down the shock tower towards a big group of enemies. I'm not showing it here because I'm trying to position. You can see how low all of their health is. And so long as you connect that line up to a Mist monster like this, you can get that health so low. And it's really, really fun to play in such a weird way. So let me back this up once again. Throwing down that second shock tower, zapping all the enemies, and you could just walk to the highest level target you can find and basically kill an entire crowd in 2 shock towers. It's a really fun build. I was fully prepared for Madcap to be my favorite with that spore affliction damage on the teddies, but I think I prefer Mayhem. This is a really fun build. So obviously we have her in the lead doing significantly more damage in the commander slot. Then we got Happy Holidays just to reduce the cooldown. And I want to talk about the second perk that you might want to consider, and that is Fragment Generation. Now, Fragment Generation is not that necessary, and I'm only saying this because it's a good perk to consider, but shock towers are already dealing with about an 8-second cooldown with the way that we're using it now, and Fragment's going to make it like 6 seconds. It's really not that big of a deal, and I did have trouble healing, and there are fragments around the map that you can collect by hand, and if you're going to be running around the map collecting fragments, you might as well be searching bushes and getting coconuts. And we did have a legitimate healing problem in this build, and more damage is nice. So if 4 reasons to use coconuts wasn't enough, then I don't know what to tell you. So the perks that we're using, Wild Fragment Deadeye, I love pulling this hero off the shelf because I've always known him to be decent. That's that shock tower affliction. If you can see whenever I zap an enemy with the shock towers, let me just show it real quick here. So it zaps every enemy once, and then they're all getting zapped again and again and again. Now, that is the shock tower attacking more, but you can see the shock tower is gone now, but these enemies are continuing to take damage and die over time. Now, that was the end of the mission happening, but that is partially Wild Fragment Deadeye. The end of the mission wiped out those enemies, but that extra damage essentially is an extra zap and a half because it's 50%, 50%, 50%. So the other perk that we're using is, like right here, Capacitor, getting us 1 extra second of shock tower, which is not a lot. I understand that. An extra second is basically 2 more zaps, and Wild Fragments is like another zap and a half. So we're just using this newly buffed Trailblaster AC. He went from half a second buff to 1 full second. That's an alert from the stream. If you ever want to watch these live, Twitch link down below. They're redeeming something that I'll respond to in a bit, but 3 seconds in the lead. So you could consider Trailblaster in the lead, but I feel like Mayhem is obviously our featured hero, so we're using her. We already explained coconuts, and shock tower damage, I mean, of course, you know, want to do more damage. And Gumshoe is fantastic. She is a fragment ability buff, which is shock tower and Teddy, and she does not require you to have a fragment. You do not need a fragment to enjoy that flat 30% to Teddy. So she is present in this build and the Madcap build for obvious reasons, and this is the full build. I honestly think this is a solid loadout for pretty much all adventures, and today's recording is going to be a bit tricky because the Eliminate and Collect is where I was doing a lot of testing, but I want you guys to see power level 200 enemies. But I didn't want to be in a healing death burst mission because it almost completely negates the shock tower. The shock tower is really good at wiping out a crowd of enemies and then them healing each other. It kind of sucks, and I don't want to do an evac. So we're going to be recording in a Cat 4. I just want to make it very clear that the enemies are going to be very spread out. This is not going to be the best mission for a shock tower showcase, but as mentioned, it's insufficient in the 160s, and this current venture season is tricky with the rage modifier because I'm not going to have any energy, which means I'm going to have to give up one of my support perks to generate energy. It's going to do a lot more damage, which is awesome, and it's going to have a lot less cooldown, which is awesome. You should absolutely throw Fallen Love Ranger Jonesy in support, or something like Fossil Southie, just to remove your shield, get some energy back, because this build in Ventures would be fantastic. In fact, I've been so close to showing a Shock Tower build on the channel before, and then I just didn't. That was for the Frozen Fjord season, which is a fantastic season for abilities in general, but Rage Modifier, if you guys want to supplement that energy with Fallen Love Ranger or Fossil Southie as mentioned, it is a great season for this build, but we're going to be showing this in a regular mission, so consider this a nerfed version of the build, just with plenty of energy to use. Alright, starting off with a bit of a weak point. So Shock Tower is fantastic for crowds, not necessarily smashers, but look at how much that does. This is attacking 4 times a second. That was 75% of a smasher's health from a Shock Tower. Now, I'm using the Huskbuster here because it's a very common, very powerful weapon, and I can tune it to the correct element, which is water, because we're in a fire zone. And because it's so common, I feel like anybody should be able to have access to it. And I am not here pretending that a Shock Tower can do absolutely everything. So this is what you want to do. Throw it to the crowd of enemies. Then you want to get behind a Mist monster and just watch it die. It's not going to do all the work. As mentioned, you know, Shock Tower can't do everything. That's my point. But it does a lot. Because while I'm over here dealing with the Mist monsters, oh, the Shock Tower killed the rest of the encampment. How fantastic is that? One Shock Tower basically did that entire encampment. Oh, are you just going to be easy to save? Okay, cool, thanks. I'm happy to help. All right, just to enjoy some carnage while I loot some coconuts here, I'm just going to kite all of these enemies over here. Come play with me. Let me just search these bushes as we go, because more coconuts is good. 3 should be fine, but I'm seeing this encampment right here. There we go. Search that. Maybe search that. Okay, we're still at 3. That's okay. Wake up the enemies, collect the fragment, kill the nurse just to wake up these targets. Now we can have some fun. So let's throw that down here. That can eliminate all the baby enemies right there. And then I am going to fail to kill that Mist monster, and that's all right. Using a healing pad, even though I just got coconuts for some reason. Let me press 6. There we go. And then I can phase shift. Look at that damage, dude. Okay, he got knocked out of the way, but that Mist monster was on pace to die from one Shock Tower. Here, we can weaken a Mist monster. Shock Tower, kill him there. Phase shift over here. Look at the kind of playstyle this build encourages. You have to actually consider where you are in relation to your Shock Tower and where the stronger enemies are. Like, I personally love that. All right, so I'm happy to show this because nurses pretty much cancel out a Shock Tower's damage. However, oh, poor Cole. However, because of, you know, Mayhem doing what they do, you can just position yourself to essentially target the nurse, and then the Shock Tower just cleans up everything. And that's a wild fragment getting them very close, but still, I'll take it. Aw, teammates out here marking encampments. Okay, let me do this. Let me heal myself. Coconuts for the extra damage. All right, that was sloppy. Let me kill you because you're doing damage to me. You. 2 more seconds on the shockwave. Drop that down. Phase shift over here. That's okay. I'm just trying to connect the dots. There we go. Perfect. Yes. All right. Just trying to line that up. And of course, I do have Seismic Smash. I've been ignoring it, but that's there as well. So if you use Phase Shift to reposition, Seismic Smash to clean up, and of course, the Shock Tower, the reason we're all here to do the rest, you'll be sitting pretty. So let me just search these 2 real quick. Then let me actually eat the coconut. Let me just put that out of the way. And then Riot Huskies are really annoying, so let me just position myself to do tons of damage to all of them. Very easy. You are almost dead. That's okay. We can just face, you know, Seismic Smash right there. There we go. And we can, oh, I ran out of energy. No. All right. I'm screwing up here, but that's okay. And this is the reason that I feel like I didn't need Shock Tower fragments, because the cooldown's okay. I'm sitting here waiting, teammates demonstrating how good the build can be as well, and that's all right. As long as we're both using the same build, I don't mind a teammate helping, because you can see 2 guys and all of 3 Shock Towers is pretty much an entire encampment, besides you, who decided to sit over there and watch. But yeah, you know, I apologize for the bad gameplay in advance, but the encampments actually scale up to the power level that I wanted to demonstrate this build at, so I feel like I got to show quite a lot of mayhem for a mission that is expected to have the enemies spread out. So yeah, now that we've had a little bit of fun, I'm going to go around looting some coconuts and picking up fragments as I see them. I'm going to try to get to 8 coconuts, prep the defense, and just get this started because, well, we're here to do that. All right, I got a little surprise for you. You can test a Mimic, by the way, by just smacking it, and I want to see how it does. So let's, okay, yeah, that's, I didn't even get to see, I didn't even get to say, let's see how this does before she was half dead. Yeah, I'm impressed. I don't know why I'm sharing this, but something about jumping into a blue area just feels so cool. This might be the Halo kid inside of me. I grew up on Halo 3, so that just feels amazing. Now, we have 2 floaters, A and C. So between D and B, we are just going to be able to defend this super easy. Okay. How many times can I rhyme? All right. So I asked teammates to be a little light on the traps. Kine is really excited to check out this build, so I guess I can show it from range. But it's funny how few enemies a Cat 4 spawns, because I'm used to the 160s, but in a 140 zone, I feel like we're lacking. All right, perfect. We have a... Oh, okay. Never mind. So somebody was asking about the range on this. I feel like this is a good time to check. How far can this reach? Because it feels infinite, but it can't be. I don't know. It seems like I'm not able to get far enough away to be out of range before it despawns. So... is that functionally infinite? I have no idea. How far is this going to reach? Because that is a long way. That is functionally infinite. Like that is going to be all the range you're going to need. And it actually looks really weird at that distance. I'm kind of digging it. So we got some enemies over here. We can just dash on over. And I love this. You can throw it down to stagger those enemies, run to the back, and just zzz, everything in between. I really love it. You control a laser beam with this build. You control a laser beam. Now, I'm not getting any fragments from this, but I can eat coconuts right now. There we go. That'll heal me and buff my shock tower damage in the process, which is great. Am I going to get one more right? Oh, I am. Beautiful. And since there's one on the ground, I can actually pick it up right there. All right, there we go. All right, let me just drop that and basically just run away. I can zap everything as I go along, as I relocate to the next position. 8 seconds, pretty easy cooldown. Just kind of afflict these guys. Affliction is so broken, by the way. I really love Affliction. Let's see what is a good next target. There we go. Little nurse action here. Easy knockout, no problem there. Got some flingers, lobbers. Not the easiest to deal with because, frankly, you know, we're running a close range build, all things considered. This is more of a madcap situation with that Teddy. But, you know, we're just working with what we got. That should be no problem. These guys are an issue, so let me just throw down the shock tower there. And then just line myself up to do some easy damage. Obviously, the shotgun works as well, but, you know, in the spirit of things, I'm trying to take advantage of it as much as possible. Let me just cut off all the enemies going this way. Run to the strongest enemy I can find. Focus in with the beam. Easy knockout. I love it. Because it's energy, it's actually doing a fairly credible amount of damage towards... Is that the right word? Credible? A fairly acceptable amount of damage to the energy targets, because energy versus elemental is what I mean to say. Is going to be doing 75% and then full damage towards a normal target. And it's a little too white and shiny for me to actually see what the damage numbers are. But earlier against the Smasher, I was seeing about 80k per tick, which is 300,000 damage per second, by the way. If a shock tower is on the field for... Does it even tell me? I actually don't even know. Shock tower... doesn't say in this menu, but it's only a few seconds. And 1 extra second... Can you do like 1 million damage before it times out? Is that an accurate number to say? I really don't specifically know what the numbers are for that, but it's kind of a lot. Maybe we can time it. Let me actually see. All right, we got a Mist monster over here. Perfect. So let's throw it down and then look at the timer. So it's got a 12-second cooldown. Oh gosh, I'm moving. 12-second, and it despawns with the 1-second buff. Okay, 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, you're doing 1.5 million damage throughout the duration of that. Is that going in the thumbnail or something? Because, like, that's a big number. I'm eyeballing it, of course, but let me see if I can see how much damage this is doing. Man, everything's just dying too quick. That is an unhelpful amount of information, but it looks like it's doing 80,000, or it was earlier in my recording. So if you're doing 80,000 times 4 per second, that's 320,000, and you multiply that by 5, I'm rounding down to say it's 1.5 million damage that beam is if you use it to its full effect. Now, I would love some smashers or mist monsters to bully, because these guys are going easy. Like, I don't even need the beam to help against that. So we need some bigger... Did I hear something roar? I need something bigger to test this against, because that's where things are going to get really interesting. But I don't know if we'll be able to get the opportunity. Thankfully, we were able to play around with some larger health targets prior to this game starting. Let me see if I can just line this up real quick here. Yeah, look at that damage. What the fuck is that damage, my guy? That was so satisfying. Oh, we got enemies over here. Perfect. So I can drop them here, and then I can just run to the back, just like that. Man, I wish I could see the number clearly. It's so dark in game that I can't even tell what's going on. Let me drop a seismic smash right there. I did pick up that one fragment. I do think I like Fragment Flurry. Even if I can understand that Coconuts is a nice damage bonus when you need it, Fragment Flurry just allows you to have that reduced cooldown throughout. But even then, getting 39 eliminations per fragment is a steep price. That's a lot. That's a lot of eliminations for something like this. But, you know, it's still something that's automatic. You don't have to think about it. And you gotta reduce cooldown occasionally. But I wouldn't want to use something like Impossibility Matrix because he's only a 10% reduction. And we're dealing with a 12-second cooldown. All right. Let's see. What kind of element do we got on this? Is it killable? Fire? I'll take it. So throw that over there. What kind of damage do we do towards a mini boss? It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Yeah, so this is more of a pot shot situation, or maybe using, well, I guess I am using a water Huskbuster already, so maybe we can enjoy just how strong the Huskbuster is. Easy. Look at that. He's got a pot shot going. Yeah, using a water pot shot for this is great. I recommend every player. By the way, an extra 1,000,000 damage, still worth throwing this down, by the way. Now, this is reduced because he's fire, so I guess it is 1,000,000, not 1.5 million, but an extra 1,000,000 damage just by throwing down a shock tower. Isn't that amazing? Let me just do that one more time. And then, of course, the extra residual damage of the actual shock tower. Now, he killed it a little early, but we can just imagine that that beam finished it off. That's a lot. I feel like Outlanders are known as one of the more underpowered classes. There are good bonuses like Ranger Deadeye and Beetlejuice, buffing SMGs and pistols, damage and crit damage. There are good things that Outlanders offer. Of course, Outlanders take the best advantage of Chaos Agent by reloading instantly with his with the phase shift in him. But look at that damage, by the way. 2 shock towers murdering a mist monster is so good. Yeah, I see that flinger. I see that flinger. Let me do this. Let me eat the coconuts that I've been not using well effectively. There we go. And then we just walk over here and wait for it to die. Isn't that great? Isn't that so great? So, you know, Chaos Agent, SMG, pistol buffs are nice, but I still think Outlanders are well known to be one of the lesser powerful characters. I'm, of course, ignoring, like, Sub-Zero Zenith, who's a completely different class of his own. He's buffing snipers and bows as a Outlander. It's a weird build, and he's not even doing that much damage. He's more freezing enemies than actually killing them, but still, Zenith is his own thing. So ignoring all that, I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm not gonna die? Coconut's keeping me alive, using them up, that's fine. Outlanders are usually one of the weaker, so the fact that you can include a 1,000,000 damage ability is pretty good. In support, it's not gonna be quite as dramatic, but still, I have 5 slurps. Okay, well, you know, I ran out of coconuts, but I might as well pop these. In the current version of the game where they just came out, slurp's pretty weak, but, you know, I'll take it. By the way, there was a YouTube viewer. Was it KIVM? Something like that? I want to give them credit as a thank you because they were the one who suggested to use phase shift alongside this build, and I have found that to be a huge improvement. To drop this down and phase shift to quickly get in position. Remember, you've only got 5 seconds to take advantage of it. So moving as quickly as you can is really important. And thank you to that user for suggesting that because I hadn't thought about it. And you made my gameplay experience better. So yeah, honestly, Mayhem, a genuinely good hero. I feel like if you're just considering Venture's builds, it's like an A tier hero, maybe S tier. Obviously, if you incorporate the entire game and consider the 164 players, maybe a B tier hero, but still pretty solid. Maybe even a good support if you're using Shockwave. Something to consider. So that's it. Subscribe for more. I might include Madcap and Mayhem in a combined build with like Cyberclops in the lead or something. Stay subscribed and stay tuned for that potential video. And again, if you've made it to the end and you still haven't seen the Madcap video, definitely check that out because he is pretty fantastic in his own right. But that's it for me. I'm out of here. Like the video. Go watch something else. You know, a couple recommended at the end here. Goodbye.